Hello. Well, I thought we were ready. Hello, everyone, and welcome to It's Civil. Still some last minute moves and machinations, I guess, here. How's everyone? Hello, Cameron. You're back home?
Yes, back in Chicago to warm weather,
Yeah.
nonetheless. Shout out to global warming. Shout out to the city for keeping it warm for me.
Well,
Feels good to be back.
I don't know if they kept it warm for you because, from what I understand, there was some winter days there while you were gone. But you guys are looking like Dallas today. Yeah.
Yeah, feels great
Yeah.
out here. But
Yeah.
the weather could change in the span of a day, so I'm glad they kept it warm for this long.
And not even a day. It'll just give you a couple minutes. How you doing, Damon?
Doing great. Like you said, beautiful day,
Did
warm.
you go outside
Uh,
and play?
I didn't. I had an
Adult stuff.
epiphany that I needed to do some spring cleaning, and I started with a small thing, and it escalated, so I got stuck in the house.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, but you got what you needed to get done.
Yes, the man cave is in full effect.
Very good. Very good. And speaking of man cave, hello, Med. How are you?
I'm doing great. How we doing today, everybody? It's decent here, I guess. 66 degrees, 65, I guess. I don't know.
It's voting day. Did you go out and vote today?
Uh,
I knew I forgot something.
Ahmed mails in his ballot. He
Oh,
mails it in. He does vote by mail.
yeah.
Vote by mail. Yep.
I was
Right,
on the
Med?
radio talking about it today, too. Yeah. Making sure everybody remember to go out. And
Uh-huh. And you?
yeah, I took my nap.
Yeah.
I took my nap. And
Instead of voting.
yeah, you got away from me.
Civic
Hey,
duty. Yeah.
Yeah,
morning show guy. I mean, you get a pass for this one.
I was
Do
like,
you? Because I remember morning show days where it was really easy to go
you
from
know, it
the
was
morning
easy. It
show
makes it
to
easier.
go and
Yes.
vote, right?
Yes.
Yeah, gotta
Yes.
go first thing in the morning.
Yeah,
Right?
I went and got the oil change, came back to the
Oh,
house and passed out. Yeah,
okay. Okay. All right. So oil change,
yeah,
civic duty,
yeah.
voting.
We're
Okay.
not here to guilt you, Med. You're
Nah, not
fine.
at all. No, no.
No,
You
no,
know,
You're
one
fine.
of us is. One of us
I'll
is.
take it all in. I'll take it all in. I messed up. I messed up. Yeah, and I literally didn't think about it until she said. I was like, that was on. That's, oh my!
That was today.
I was supposed to go. Oh, that was on the agenda, and I did not do it. Oh my gosh.
But your boys had you. I, on the other hand, am like the wife that is makes you realize.
Oh yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead and
yeah. I
remind me.
only I only gave him a pass because he's new to the morning show shift. See, if he'd
Right.
have been a year in, then he
Yeah.
could run around. But right now, he's a little discombobulated. Sleep deprivation will throw off your memory, and yeah, if Trump
Right.
gets in, it's all your fault.
And then
Thank
we
you.
blame it. Because come November, you know how
November,
important the state of
there
Georgia
ain't no
is.
games being played. Ain't no games being played.
That's right.
But that new liquor store down the street, they're all set because I didn't vote on nobody in the area.
Very good. Very good. Cameron, did you have a good vacation other than working yourself?
Oh, in so many words,
Not so
the
many, just a few.
I in
Thank you,
in
Dane.
so few words, my vacation was fine. Thank you
Okay.
for asking.
Did you meet a nice little Jamaican woman?
What happens in Jamaica stays in Jamaica.
Okay. All right. Well, that'll
Unless you broadcast from a stairwell on Civil
right,
Show.
right. And then you see women coming down the steps past you, and don't know if they were lining up for you or if they were just on their way to somewhere else.
And that's what will keep himself.
And his voice. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So welcome to it, Sybil. This is where we talk about issues regarding that we have in our newsletter, the What You Need to Know newsletter that we put together every Monday through Friday. And it is absolutely free. Please go to sybilwilkes.com to sign up for a subscription if you have not already. And a reminder, first of all, when you get your newsletter, please open it. That would help us a great deal. And secondly, if you're not getting the newsletter, let us know that as well. As a matter of fact, maybe while you're here with us and you're not receiving your newsletter, uh, go to the message board here and share with Yolanda if you are so inclined. to give us an email address, and perhaps our tech whiz Chica can get you back online. I got a text from someone today saying they weren't getting the newsletter, and so check your junk or your spam mail, your junk mail or your spam, and make sure that it's not going there. And if that's not the case, then let's get to the bottom of this and make sure that you're getting your newsletter. Otherwise, you will miss a number of great articles. Khameron gave us a story about another member of the King family has died.
Yeah, this one came out of nowhere.
Well, she was 90.
Well, yeah, but I mean, geez, it after from my elders, who just have been absolutely timeless. You become a pillar of support for your family.
Sure.
You expect it, but you never really truly see it coming, and it hits all the same.
That's a really interesting question. That's a really interesting question, because I can't say that about my family, and perhaps because they died so young, but and perhaps it warrants a further discussion at some other time. But Mrs. Naomi King was 90 plus, and I would say that Dexter King's death was more unexpected than that, but at 60. But I don't want to digress from your story, because she really was a phenomenal woman.
Yeah, truly, and I enjoyed learning a lot more about her writing this article. They called her the butterfly queen. She loved butterflies. I personally have a phobia of them myself, but they are beautiful creatures.
Don't laugh. Don't laugh.
Symbolizing change, wide array of colors. You see how we just keep persisting in spite of, Ahmed? You see how we just keep persisting?
Keep it going, buddy. It's okay.
In spite of, it's perfectly fine. It's fine. Anyways, back to
Thank you,
Mrs. Naomi King.
Absolutely.
Right? Back to okay. She championed women's rights. She continued to empower youth even after the civil rights movement, and she contributed a memoir entitled A.D. and M.L. King, Two Brothers Who Dared to Dream. Of course, the A.D. being the Reverend Alfred Daniel Williams King, the younger brother of Reverend Martin Luther King. And I thought that this was really interesting because the stories of brotherhood, just like sacred brotherhood, especially during the civil rights movement, just aren't shared much. And Mrs. Naomi King choosing to enshrine that in our history is definitely worth a read. There are also other memoirs from women written about prominent Black figures that you should definitely read. Bob Marley's wife, you should definitely read that. If you want to just get some nuance about who these men really are. So it's been a pleasure to learn more about her. And I am so happy that she gets to rest in power with the rest of the King family, championing us to continue her work from the heavens.
Rita Marley, huh? Okay.
Oh, Rita Marley got you.
I was going fine, and then my whole thing switched. Just read that Rita Marley memoir, and check out. I see. Okay.
Right. Khameron, were you familiar with her before her passing?
I absolutely was not. I was not.
I read the book that she wrote about the brothers King, and it really was quite good, and telling about their relationship, because as you note, Khameron, you don't usually get an insider's view of a brotherhood, a true between siblings, and she really was a pillar of that family, and especially as these deaths have continued to come and visit upon the King family. And the last, as I think it was Reverend Bernice King said, just when we were starting to get to a place with the loss of our brother, and then comes this very strong member of our family, and so we are very sorry for their loss. But someday we're going to get to the bottom of this butterfly.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean,
in the comments, there is support for you, Cameron. In the comments, there is support.
Oh, please, give us that, Yolanda. Please, I get clowns. I get a lot, but butterflies.
It's the look, and they're right here. I can get it, and right here with it, and then just be in the middle of the air, just floating like this. It's probably creepy.
Are these Jurassic butterflies?
No, because you make them sing like they're dinosaur size, man.
Man, and
I challenge any one of you all to go to the Butterfly Haven and just walk straight through without doing at least one of these. Exactly.
They may laugh at me, but when I was small, living on the farm, my sisters and I would catch and hold their wings together and play with them, said Teresa Robinson. Okay, you're sick. That was a sickness there, Teresa.
She gave butterflies a human phobia.
Right. A human.
They're very fragile.
I can imagine if you walk through one of those
butterfly haven, and it's called a haven, and you're disrupting it. So and being scared by them. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's move on to some of the other articles that may bring you laughter the way this one did. But it wasn't the article so much as the sharing of one's phobias, I guess, and fears. Okay. This week, we are also starting a series in partnership with the American Heart Association talking about Life's Essential 8. I hope that you will take a look at this. And we're going to be doing a special on this. And this is like getting your weight under control, maintaining your good blood pressure, maintaining good cholesterol, eating properly, no smoking of any type, and things like that. And so these are all the essential 8s. Make sure when you're eating, getting those fruits and the vegetables, and a good lean protein and things like that to make your diet a little bit more steady. And so we are talking about this in our newsletter, and we're also going to be talking about it with a special show on It's Sybil in just a matter of weeks. And thanks to our partnership, as I said, with the American Heart Association. And it is tax filing time, and Celebrity to the Stars, Celebrity CPA to the Stars. Ms. Kraft is giving us more information as people are preparing their taxes and getting in line and ready for that. She talks about direct file. This is an opportunity. The IRS has a free tax filing program offering a convenient way for eligible individuals to file their federal tax returns online. It's begun in the testing phase, the early part of this month. Initial availability to users to start filing their returns. And starting today, Direct File will be open to all eligible users in 12 pilot states. So if you're in Arizona, California, Florida, Massachusetts, Nevada, New Hampshire, New York, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming, you will be available. You will be able to participate in the Direct File tax filing program. And there, of course, are some requirements for this, and who they accept and what have you. So check that out. And as always, we appreciate you, Katrina M. Kraft, CPA to the Stars. And we're going to get a medical professional on to talk about some phobias here one day. That's it for Black Health Matters segment.
You give me butterflies.
Hear the song.
Michael Jackson.
It's a great song.
Awesome song. But do you change the channel when it comes on? No.
Or do you have
That's
vision?
very lowbrow for you, John. Prodigiously low. You can do a lot better than that.
I'm sorry, brother.
I welcome someone down at my low level. Thank you very much. Come on, Damon.
I thought when they go low, we go high.
No.
Clearly, we're just breaking all the rules today.
No. As much as I love Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go lower.
Sink into the floor, as Jordan Peele
and
said.
especially
Very
in
well.
something like this.
Limbo. We don't get there.
Never, ever, ever. Come birthday time. So let's move to what's really going on. And this is our question of the day. Yesterday was March 11th and marked the 4th anniversary when the World Health Organization declared COVID, or as they called it back then, the coronavirus, to be a global pandemic. The New York Times reported that stocks started to plummet that afternoon. In a span of a single hour that night, President Trump delivered an Oval Office address about COVID. Celebrities such as Tom Hanks posted on Instagram that he had the virus. And this is what made me recognize the seriousness of this, is when the NBA announced it canceled the rest of its season. The World Health Organization issued this briefing regarding the pandemic March 11, 2020. In the past 2 weeks, the number of cases of COVID-19 outside China has increased 13-fold, and the number of affected countries has tripled. There are now more than 118,000 cases in 114 countries. 4,291 people have lost their lives, and thousands more are fighting for their lives in hospitals. In the days and weeks ahead, we expect to see the number of cases, the number of deaths, and the number of affected countries climb even higher. The WHO has been assessing the outbreak around the clock, and we are deeply concerned by both the alarming levels of spread and severity and by the alarming levels of inaction. We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic. I remember where I was, and I remember what, and as I said, it was the NBA announcing that they were going to shut down the league for the rest of the season. And Yolanda and I were traveling we were in Atlanta, as a matter of fact, man, and doing an event with the local radio station, and came to the hotel and we were having a bite to eat. And that came across, ESPN announced that the NBA was shutting down, and it's like, damn. And we just need to get home. And that was it for me. So that's why I'm asking, do you guys remember what was the moment, what was the action, what was the announcement that you realized that things were going to change, the world was going to change in effect with whatever this was?
I certainly do, because we were working in Vegas and we were the last show that was still up. That they closed the strip while we were on stage. Wow. And when they said they shut those casinos down, I knew it was very serious. So I made a joke. I'm like, y'all know this is the last comedy show in the world right now taking place. And I was kidding, but I still had to get home. And but they had announced, like, while we were during our show, because we were at a small off-strip casino, and I was joking about they clearly don't care about nobody here because we still open and doing this show, and I fully expect to get all my money at the end of it. But to hear that the Vegas Strip has shut down was really jarring for me.
Yeah, that'll do it. Do you remember the date?
I'm looking now. March 2020. I think it would have been maybe the 6th or the 7th.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So that's an early look at it. Med, what about you?
I remember the lead up to it.
Okay.
No, sorry, March 13th, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so I remember the lead up to it because I remember Rudy Gobert touching all the microphones. After their game, and he was joking about COVID.
Right.
And he got up from the press conference, but as he got up, he stopped, turned around, and touched every microphone that was sitting there, jokingly saying, "Ooh, COVID!"
Right.
And he was the one that had COVID that shut the league down.
That's right.
And he was the first NBA player to, that we found out that had it. And honestly, that was the thing that it feels like Rudy Gobert shut the world down. Because it was because of the NBA, because COVID had gotten into the United States, I believe, already, but we were just being precautious. But it wasn't until that moment where the entire world, it was like, or the entire country was like, oh, okay, let's shut it down. And everything just literally after that, done. And then for us being in radio, I was with the Willie Moore Jr. show. It's like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to play this? How are we going to work on this? And it took an effort, but, you know, you were able to, you know, do the show, and then everyone was trying to figure out the new way of doing things. We didn't know. Going back and thinking about the fear at the time of the unknown, the not knowing exactly what was going to happen because of, you know, COVID. We didn't know. We went from just wash your hands to washing groceries and washing bags and plastics and all this other stuff because we had no idea, and we were just week to week. You know, hey, 2 weeks, we'll be back, we'll be all good. And when it was just nuts after that. We had no idea, and the fear of unknown was just, you know, palpitating at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Khameron?
Oh, I remember the year before. I was just really exhausted, just like running around the neighborhood, doing all of the things, and you know, like the building all the bridges and trying to fill all the gaps and helping out as much as I could. And I was like, man, I wish I could just stay home for the entire year. And I guess God was like,
be careful what you wish for, huh?
I was like, okay. And then
thanks, Cameron.
You know, I didn't ask for a plague, but
but a pandemic you got.
Wasn't going for biblical proportions here, but you know,
okay.
hey,
yeah,
we're gonna go for it. We're gonna get it.
Yeah. So I remember getting a couple emails about it. I was the main one in the office joking about it, not to the point of, you know, touching everything and, you know, purposely coughing on people, but just trying to keep things light because I could see that people were feeling really heavy about it. People started to get sick and stay home, and like a domino effect, that same week, second week of March, we had gotten the email that everyone should just stay home, and then we just didn't go back until 2 years later.
And people thought it was a couple of weeks and we'll be good, and not understanding the level of severity and what to do to prevent the spread of this. And then, of course, a little while longer before the shot was given to us, you know, the vaccination was discovered and then put into full effect. So that's our question of the day, asking people who are watching and listening, if you're done with the butterfly discussion, we'd like to know what was the moment.
And she brings it back as well.
That changed everything. I'm not going to forget this. I will forget your name before I forget the guy with the butterfly here. What was that moment that changed everything for you? And so we're talking about the anniversary that was yesterday, March 11th. And what was the moment that it kind of everything flipped, everything changed, or that you heard or you thought this is when it's going to happen? Michael Stallworth on Facebook. I was supposed to be attending something related to church. Was thinking about a friend of mine a lot during that period. I met back up with her in December of 2022. Okay. Brenda Brooks Perry on YouTube. Good evening, everyone. I haven't worked since, but I have been praying for retirement, and God granted my prayer. Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah. That's a prayer that you. Teresa Robinson on Facebook. If you can remember, I believe the newspaper in October 2019, it had an article of the plane crash with Kobe Bryant. COVID was mentioned in that newspaper. Okay, I don't, because Kobe died in January of 20. Was it 19?
Yes, no. Kobe died in a helicopter accident in January of 2020. There was an article in the paper about COVID like spreading to the United States in that newspaper, but it was January of 2020.
Oh,
so
got it.
Like
okay.
We were leading up to it.
Right. And it was a helicopter, and helicopters suck. That's my phobia. Promise you. If y'all think I'm kidding, within the next 6 weeks, you'll see another helicopter crash. There was just one, And I've been telling people this for years, but helicopters suck. Do not ride in helicopters.
And I understand that better than some other phobias, but it's real. And when you think about and just parenthetically, you think about the service members that have been lost as a result of helicopter crashes most recently, when they were just doing maneuvers or not even out for something like that. That is,
it's not even logical for this to take you around. The propeller
up and
being up there. Yeah, that's yeah. I don't know aeronautics, but I know I'd rather have wings. So at least if this stops spinning, we can possibly glide to the ground.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Thank you.
So
I'm glad we're back.
Oh, the bro.
No, we're still not okay.
The brohood is so. Come on, fist bump. Come on, do an air hug or something. Give him back to him, Khameron.
I just know you're more talented than that, and I expected that. Quite frankly, I'm very disappointed.
Manuel Murphy on Facebook said, Sybil Wilkes, I remember a date in March. I was on toilet paper, paper towels, and Lysol duty, looking all over the burb where I lived. Yeah, that was and the prices of those things and finding Lysol. And I remember George Wallace had a Connect, and he's like, and he showed, look what I just got from a friend of mine working for a Lysol company, and I was like, hey, spread some of that around, and he did, but it was like that was like gold. It was like liquid gold when you received that, because all of the spray. I remember even and when we had to close things down at the yoga studio, and we were spraying and all of that kind of thing even before the yoga studio closed down. But it is it's real, and living with people who form their own communities. I remember all of those stories about, and I was fortunate enough to be taken in by Yolanda and Ward, and they were also caring for Ward's father, who was going through some health challenges. And so it is all of these things. But that night, I remember just sitting in that bar and going, they shut down the NBA. You just don't think of anything being able to, that money machine just came to a halt.
Right.
And then how they came together, and tried to make the best of the rest of that season by the bubble that they had. Regina Glover on Facebook. The
money machine does not stop.
No, right. And that's what Donald Trump was trying to do too, but people weren't having it. Regina Glover, the COVID pandemic era was such a difficult time. Everything changed, some for the good and some for the bad. Absolutely. Yeah, it changed.
So Khameron, what about moths?
Oh, moths are very terrifying creatures.
Moths. Okay. I could get moths. They will flutter at you. I'm just.
And they can ruin your clothing. I get that.
I don't like moths.
Right.
Ugh. And they're faster too. Butterflies.
Yeah.
Moths are faster because they're smaller and
smaller, and they be fluttering and be like right.
Yeah, they're dumber too. You never see a butterfly drawn to a fire.
No.
So the question is about the pandemic. Were there any good things that came out of this? Teresa Robinson said, I was home on my computer either March 13th or 14th looking for a job. And when I heard the world was shut down, I was in disbelief. Yeah, absolutely. The world in disbelief.
The best thing that happened was it opened up, it pulled back or opened up Pandora's box and let every company find out, yes, you can work from home.
Right. Yeah. And Ned, not only did it change those businesses that were affected, allowing people and figuring out how you could broadcast from your home or how you could, do whatever your business is, but it also it changed the way other businesses that were affected by this, because think about the people that owned all those office buildings. I think about, even at Reach, it's in a lovely bank building, and how, Reach had the entire 7th floor. And now they say it's like a ghost town. You can bowl down the hallways because that's how few people are in the building now, because they have managed to to rearrange the way that they work.
It's funny because I left Reach during maybe pretty good portion of the pandemic when people were working from home. So I left right when they were kind of forcing people to get the shot. And iHeart, and they didn't do that. And working at iHeart remotely and then seeing them, they built a new building. They literally built a new situation. And to go into that situation where it was an expansive building because they were in the middle of the project with a whole bunch of studios and a whole bunch of this, and it's just been empty since they really, people are in there. And then for me to go now back to the studios that I used to, and it is pretty much full for the most, which is kind of interesting to me outside of sales. But everybody's back in the studio and doing their thing. It's a very interesting juxtaposition that I've been.
It's real. I mean, what were you going to say there, Damon?
One good thing that came out of that was this. We would not be sitting here doing this, I believe, had it not been because we weren't doing things like this. And so Zoom, my family still has maintained every Tuesday. We still have a family Zoom from 2020 to this day. And a lot of times I forget about it because I come right off here and I'm like,
oh, my family, yeah.
Right.
Hey, Mom.
Right, exactly. Yeah, this is my media day. This, the Sam Silk Show on Tuesdays, and then the family Zoom. So,
wow.
Yeah, yep.
Do you keep the Black History flag up too for the family?
Now I walk around. I'm usually eating during family Zoom.
Oh, okay, so got it. Michelle Lynn Summerall on Facebook said,
but this never comes down. Excuse you. I'm sorry. Yes, this is always up.
Okay. So sometimes we've seen you without it, and I was just thought maybe.
Yeah, that means I'm traveling. But that flag is always there.
Right on. Michelle Lynn Summerall on Facebook said, I've been in New Orleans a couple of days before. Co-workers were preparing for Mardi Gras. I went into the office. I had some calls, saw an alert on my phone, packed up my essentials, and went home. Then the frenzy started. That was a busy time for HR and IT. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that is just to look back. 4 years, it seemingly has gone by very quickly, at least for me. I don't know if you all could agree with that and say the same, but it did go very quickly, and it's like 4 years later. And also, I don't know if this is true for you guys, but did it put you on watch for the possibility of the next?
No.
Of what could be the next pandemic?
I think if there is another something like this, if you thought last time people were divisive about, shots and everything like that, if another pandemic comes along, people have to be dropping in the streets for anyone.
Yeah.
I think that fear is going to be gone unless it's something that is literally people are dropping dead, out there like that, where we can physically see them do that, for us to kind of panic like we did this time around.
Yeah, I've not stopped wearing masks. I will say that even getting on planes and what have you, going to large events and being in large groups of people. The one exception I made was being at a luncheon last week, and I forgot my mask in the car. But in like going into the airport, I'm like, oh, I left my mask, and I'll go back to the car and get my mask. But I still believe in that, and because I know that the spreading of germs and people are just nasty. People don't cover up when they cough. They don't cover up when they sneeze, and it's like. And if you're walking behind him, you're walking right into it, and it could be the virus, or it could be something else. I don't know. It could just
that's very true. And I also, a huge thing I took from it is just how different states handled it. Because living in Georgia, I was like, okay. And then going to visit Florida, man, let me tell you that.
Well, and Texas was a junior Florida. but Florida was, we're open. We want your business. Come on.
We went. I'll never forget. Sneaking to Florida during the pandemic because we were just tired of being in the house and just like, wow, y'all, like it hasn't touched here. Like y'all really living. Like we were the only ones wearing masks. Everybody was walking around like everything was normal, and I'm just like, this is wild. Okay,
yeah,
to the beach I go.
So thanks for participating in that look back at what we lived through and how it all began and the anniversary of this, if you can call it an anniversary of such, a look back, a remembrance. And let's move to trending topics. And in case you didn't know, today is voting day in a number of states. This week's presidential primaries could put each of the main candidates over the top in their journey for the nomination of their respective parties. Joe Biden will be on the primary ballot in Mississippi, Washington, and Georgia. Donald Trump will be on the same ballots, Mississippi, Washington, Georgia, and Hawaii. We had former mayor of Atlanta, Bill Campbell, on yesterday, and he was just so emphatic about people getting out and voting, and talking about, why, what does it take for us to make people understand what the consequences are of a Donald Trump presidency after what he did and what he is promising to do. Why do we have to beg young people who say, nah, he's too old, nah, he hasn't done anything for me, nah, I'm not getting a check like I was getting from Trump. He said, okay, let's just keep it moving. Do you think that we should concentrate on those people who are saying they don't believe in him? Or are you like him saying, let's just keep it moving and hopefully, the number of people who support Joe Biden will get out there and vote?
I think the key is, even though I forgot to go vote today, I'm sorry. I'm really talking from a very, very weak position right now. But
I was surprised you jumped in first. I was like,
I thought he was gonna be like Khameron, Damon.
No.
That's because the man of integrity.
Yes, the key is you got to push local. You have to push the importance of local, because what's happening is, like, even with the primaries, like even in the back of my head, I'm like, I missed it, but we already know Joe and Trump are going to be at it. That's no big deal. But no, there is the important part is that
members and
Congress members and then the local and your local people need to be voted for, and so we have to push that. What's happening in your community, the what you vote for outside of the presidency affects you more than voting for president. So we got to make that. We got to make those people the one that affect your day-to-day living. We have to make that so important that you're like, you know what, I'll just go out there, and if I have to vote for the president, I'll vote for the president. But you know what I'm saying? It's just
the elections that affect us day to day are further down the ballot. It's all those down ballot offices that, if it's your mayor, if it's your local councilman, but all of these things really do affect, or your local DA. These things really do have an effect on you, whether they're going to press charges against your son, your daughter, your mom, your dad, you, and things like that. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, Ned. And I think you're right, but that is the angle that I think a lot of people are taking. And Khameron, you're out there, a young man out there on the streets. What do you think?
I think trying to convince people that Trump is a madman, or just reiterating the fact that Trump is a madman, is a losing fight. The Democrats tried it in 2016. It's not going to work in 2020.
Not like this. I gotta disagree with you. I don't think that they had any idea of how mad he was in 2016. And they may have pushed on a lot of things, and they may have dominated the conversation with some of the things that his followers did, but I don't think they had just a glimmer of what he did during those 4 years and what he's promising to do now.
Yeah, and like the fact of the matter is that people just really don't care. From what I've been hearing from Black people just in the community who have very vocally expressed support for Donald Trump every chance they get. What I hear from them behind their words is that they just feel similarly to the rest of Trump supporters. So they feel betrayed, they feel overlooked, and they just don't care. I know that's for gloom, but I'm really hoping that the Democratic strategists are listening, appealing to the humanity of the electorate, of the voters, is not going to work.
Sad. Damon?
It seems like there's an ignorance that's floating in the lower brow of populace, where people just think, well, we was balling during Trump days. He gave us money and we had money. And they're not thinking about the ramifications of this guy getting back in office. And then there's the apathy with the fact that Joe Biden is so old and everybody's been playing on his age. But you still have to try to push a vote for anybody is almost better than a vote for Trump. And then, of course, the local. So you got to get the anti-Trump sentiment back out there, and you also have to get the local, especially like circuit court judges and things of that nature. Just tell people, if you want to go to traffic court, you might want to recognize the judge you go before. It's things like that, because we saw not only on a local level, but from the Supreme Court level, what having this guy in office can do, and what the importance is of what judges do in the lower courts to get to the Supreme Court. So the judges is one angle. DA, especially in Chicago, we have, to replace Kim Foxx, and that's going to be a major thing. But to be honest, we haven't been inundated with a whole lot of political ads. They just kind of starting to trickle in now, whereas it usually would be really, really a problem. I guess maybe it's the primary, but we haven't been getting the information or the misinformation as we normally do.
That's really interesting, because that is something we don't talk about, but we do mention from time to time, is the fact that the whole thing with the Supreme Court and the decisions regarding women's reproductive rights, that is a result of the 3 judges that Donald Trump was able to nominate to the Supreme Court, as well as it was a result of a majority leader Republican in the Senate. And he held off President Biden and President Obama's choice for the Supreme Court 10 months before, because of his hatred for President Obama, as well as his ability just to be manipulative, and in the faint hope that Donald Trump would win.
And then there was a slew of federal judges appointed by Trump quietly, and those judges tried the cases that eventually made it to they could have been shut down in lower court if we had like-minded judges in the lower court, never even made it to the Supreme Court. So it's very vital. The judiciary is very vital, and you need to do a little research, because we don't know much about our judges, and that's another thing.
We don't do research on any of our candidates as a rule. You know what I mean? It's like, but you're especially right about judges, and think about this, that although she should have recused herself, Donald Trump did very well by nominating the woman who is hearing his case in Florida now regarding all the documents that he absconded with. And so it bears, thinking, hey, I'm going to put you in and remember me in a couple of years. I may need you again.
And quit guessing just because you see Jenkins, Brown, Johnson, Smith that they're Black.
Right.
Google the faces if you try to vote your color. At least Google the people, because there's some tricky names out there as well.
That's right. And
Jenkins is probably a shoe-in though.
Didn't Jenkins win the black off of the blackest name? Did you hear about that? It was like the Jenkins versus the Washingtons. They were like, and then Smiths came in and said, "Hold up, we got something to say."
We got more. We got more. This happened today. Republican Congressman Ken Buck revealed last year that he will not run for re-election. He's from Colorado. But today, the hardline conservative has clashed with his own party on a number of votes and a number of issues, announced that he will leave Congress not at the end of his term. He's leaving at the end of next week. His decision to step down, and this came as they were interviewing the special prosecutor in the Files case against President Biden, and he stepped away and was talking to Dana Bash at CNN and said that I'm out after next week. I'm done. He didn't call them by or out of their names, but he pretty much said this is just ridiculous. He will now leave the Republicans with an edge of 218 seats to 213 for Democrats, with 3 vacancies. And that breakdown, Republicans can only afford to lose 2 votes to pass legislation over a party line vote. Remember, it was like 15 they had it at one point. But as far as why he decided not to seek re-election, he cited stagnation in the Congress and his party's election denialism. Always going back to that after the January 6th hearings and how they performed and how everybody's just falling into line with Donald Trump and saying that he actually won and that he should still be president. He's like, you're not even dealing in reality, and that focused on his decision not to run for re-election in this campaign year. Anybody?
That's kind of unfortunate because unless he's replaced by someone that's less right-leaning, at least he was a voice of reason amongst the crackpots. And so that's kind of messed up. But this political game is all messed up right now between the polarizing and it's a mess right now.
This just in: President Biden has secured the Democratic nomination. Didn't need all the votes we thought he needed, Ahmed. And so he's got the majority of the Democratic delegates today. So he will get. There will be no question as to who will be the Democratic nominee for this. And obviously, never much in doubt. They didn't think that Marianne Williamson was going to do much damage. That just threw that in. Do you guys rent from Airbnb when you travel?
I have not
like I used to. Not like I used to.
So what changed you? What changed?
The price. The price is just climbing. It became like the Airbnb used to be a good alternative price-wise to hotels, but like because of talking about it, because of the pandemic, the prices, especially with the cleaning fees and everything like that, have made it not even worth doing at this point. It made hotels now the cheaper choice for the most part.
Wow. Okay. Khameron, Damon?
I tried canceling the B&B reservation because my basement flooded, but I had to convince the owner of the B&B to give me my full refund, and I had to degrade myself by sending her a picture of my mom and I cleaning water out of our basement for her to even consider giving me a partial refund. I just need a better accountability structure. And I was just absolutely disgusted that I would have to do that.
Yeah, and I never even tried it. I'm a points guy when it comes to hotels and hotel loyalty and things like that. And I usually travel just myself and my wife. I did think about it because we started exploring traveling with our dogs. But then that is not cost effective either. So I just never did. I never went. I've never been on their site. And I know where you're going with this story, so let's talk about it.
So today they announced that they are changing their security camera policy. They banned the use of indoor security cameras as its properties worldwide have expressed privacy concerns. And this is mostly from the clients. The company made the decision of the efforts to simplify its policy on security cameras and prioritize the privacy of our community. That was something that, I mean, when they started talking about this, I was like, and I wasn't an Airbnb person either. I'm a hotel person. I like a nice hotel. And so going to and living in someone else's house just seemed like they hadn't really left home. And I like, the fact that at some point or another, I can just put the little hanger on the door and say, come clean my room. But this was just frightening because of people saying that, they would look up and in the bathroom or as they were getting dressed and they would see a little red light and the security cameras were on and they were being filmed.
Yeah, I the ones that I've done didn't have any cameras that I could see in the rooms, and but I also understand why. Kind of going with what Khameron was talking about from our customer experience. For the owner experience, I've seen some things of homes being trashed and things like that, and you're going off of just, hey, it looked like this before, it looks like this after, without the video evidence, and it's like Airbnb, they're just not, the company itself is not really good when it comes to taking care of anybody in those kind of situations. And so having the video was kind of like lock, stock, we can get the police involved, everything. So it's just it's like a free for all. And the thing I also think about it is sometimes getting the police involved, you can't, because you weren't supposed to have Airbnb using your property as an Airbnb in the first place.
Yeah.
So the cameras were supposed to protect the owners, and I get it. But when you start putting them in the bedrooms and you're putting them in the bathrooms and you're putting them all over the place, I think I went to one where door and it was like that was it, and I was like, it didn't freak me out.
They say common living areas will probably be acceptable outside of the perimeter of the property, but as far as the privacy areas, the bedrooms and the bathrooms, that's going to be off limits. Let's move to entertainment, and a sad thing to report in the world for Gap Band fans. Hello. Gap Band member Anthony Baby Gap Walker has died. His brother, Dr. Eric Walker, announced his death and shared that he passed away at an Ohio hospital Monday after he experienced complications from a neck surgery he had undergone. Yeah, his life will be celebrated in his hometown of Chicago later this week. Baby Gap was how he was referred to by many of the fans. He joined the famed group in 1979, contributing to them as a dancer, a choreographer, and a songwriter. And despite his late addition to the group formed in 1967. He came about in 1979. He went on. He would have been about 5 at the time when the group formed, so maybe a little early for him. But he went on to perform with the Gap Band for the next 23 years as a core member. And during his career, he also collaborated with legends such as Rick James and George Clinton. And you'll even hear his percussion skills on Snoop Dogg's single Snoop's Upside Your Head. And prior to his passing, he was also spending his time performing with Gap X. That was a group formed by other former members of the Gap Band. And Anthony Walker was 60 years old. Sorry to report that. And lastly, did you form a friendship with him, Damon?
With Baby Gap?
Uh-huh.
No, I'm not familiar with him. I didn't know that story until now.
Yeah, he well, I guess over the years between the cruises and the sky shows, the Gap Band, they were always very, very nice to me. And I remember him running up one time with a Gap Band jersey, and it was like, "We got you a jersey," and I was like, "Oh, I'm just really touched by it." He's like, "Yeah, I made sure they got you one." Not, Jay don't need any more stuff, but he was just very nice to me. And I appreciate his kindness. Let's close out with Yogi's Jewel. A gentle approach can be surprisingly effective in a world of judgment, competition, and complaining. Yes, Yolanda, I get the message. And no more butterfly talk. See y'all later. Aloha.
Happy birthday to Lunel.
Absolutely. A big one for her, too.